Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. So it's time to check out the second mortar, and that's going to be the pop and off, the middle path, along with the artillery battery and the heavy shells. So let's get straight into these guys. Like I said in the previous episode, the heavy shells, it's not really used, it just falls off kind of immediately. So don't use it for the purpose of just being a heavy shells. The artillery battery and pop and off, however, are great. The artillery battery tends to get a little bit more use, but they all do very well. So basically going into the heavy shells, as I said in the other episode, like this guy does good pierce in the early game, but kind of just immediately falls off right after that. So it's just like you're wasting money in a sense. The other towers, the artillery battery, however, are great. It's going to do very well in the mid game. It has a great ability that will just clear a particularly hard area of a round, but its main attack is also really strong. And the pop and awe is just kind of like that, but amplified, and its ability will do a general stun all over the entire map. It's a pretty cool tower and pretty strong. It's generally not that used. I think it just takes a lot more skill and requires using Striker Jones in order for it to be good, so kind of have to have that too, which a lot of people don't do. The cross path, however, is very easy. It's just 2XO, so 230, 240, 250, and that's all going to be very simple. And when it comes to the buffs, you're going to want to get some pretty key buffs. So for the heavy shells, we're not giving this guy anything. You stink, you're out of here. But artillery battery comes along, and you definitely want to berserker brew this guy, so he's going to be doing a lot more damage. When it comes to pop and on, the main attack is going to be a lot stronger, so overclock will be worth it here. And then you can use its ability, all that stuff. It goes kind of crazy. And then for the maps that it works on, it's going to be the same with Bloons and the other mortars. You kind of want loops and bends. That's going to make it excel a lot more, and with that you can take out a lot of Bloons tricky ones too, like even DDTs, very well. Now on to its strengths. It's strong in the mid game, has great ability, pairs amazingly with Striker. However, its weakness is that it has a long cooldown and needs a well thought out setup that has a lot of synergies, because it does have a few gaps. Onto the heroes, unlike the other two tier 5 mortars, you kind of need Striker Jones for this guy. Well, for the pop and off, for the artillery battery, you can use whatever. It's going to be used in the mid game. So our objectives here is going to be the pop and all late game and the artillery battery mid game. So just like the other two mortars, we're going to need an early game start. You can't really start with these guys. So I just go for the double shot ninja. That's going to be all very good, and then I can get Striker Jones and go into heavy shells. This guy can be used for the pierce in the early game, although if you're looking for pierce in the early game just as a standalone, don't want to use it. And you can notice I am getting the wrong cross path. I'm getting a 052, and that's because this thing got changed recently and I've never used it since the change, so I wanted to try a run with each of the cross paths, see if it's better, and turns out it's not better when you give it attack speed, which is kind of interesting because I did a few tests like seeing what it worked out well with, and the 052 did more damage than the 250 actually, but I was informed later that when you get all the buffs, which I later tested out, the attack speed and the damage buffs, the damage from the single target being gets a lot more amplified with all the attack speed buffs and damage buffs compared to a Bernie stuff application that comes later. So 250 is realistically better. So we're going to have that. We're going to out buff it. It's going to do a lot of work, and then just get something for camo. I'll get a reactor for that a bit later, and then I'll just get a drums. Why not? Anyways, we're going to want a little bit extra power to save up. So the artillery battery is pretty good. It's not super expensive though, so realistically we're not going to be expecting this guy to save up for a tier 5 all on its own, but it is quite strong, and if you pair it with something that does some good consistent damage, you'll have the unique ability to do pretty good damage overall. Maybe you want to focus a little bit more on the Moab side, so that's why I got a Comanche defense. It's going to do great in the mid game, pretty much can do a carry, but it lacks a little bit of consistency, which the mortar will easily pick up the job. And then with the mortar, that ability is very cool. You can use the ability to take out a pretty tough wave. And with Striker Jones, it's really big because Striker Jones will reset the ability cooldown too. So you can get your artillery back if you're ever in a pickle. Now, this is much more important though on the Poppin' Awe, because it does have a long cooldown and it is crucial on a lot of rounds. Like, you might want to have your Poppin' Awe on both 98 and 99, so being able to have that level 20 cooldown reset for a clutch moment when you need it is absolutely huge with the Poppin' Awe. And that's why you basically really need Striker in order for this guy to be really good. It can, I guess, be used with other heroes, but at that point, like, you might as well just use a different tower, because you won't have the consistency that you want unless you do like some crazy stalling, which I'm not expecting the average person to be doing. So with that Striker Jones, you can get also the other buffs, but that level 20 reset, particularly for 98 to 99, that's gonna come in clutch. So anyways, I did that save up. It's gonna be good for an artillery battery is good for a general save up, so that made it all super easy. And Calm Death does pretty cool things too, and I was able to get the Poppin' Awe. Now once we get the Poppin' Awe, its main attack is going to be buffed a lot. It's going to be able to take out super ceramics very well, which is pretty nice. If you're on a map where there's lots of loops, it generally can do it without support. If not, you might want to get something to help out with those super ceramics a bit, but it does do pretty good super ceramic damage, and when the ability is active, it's just going to wipe out all of the super ceramics. So I'm just going to get an Arglue, some basic support. I'll get a Sabo so I can Sabo some of these DDTs. Once that Sabo wears out, I can just use my Poppin' Awe ability, they're gone. And then I'm going to be pairing it with the Moab Eliminator, which is a great combination to pair it with. Now the Poppin' Awe is particularly weak to round 100, won't be doing much around 100, but ZOMGs in general are going to be a big struggle. The Poppin' Awe is going to be doing great against BFBs and Blow, but for ZOMGs, having that Moab Eliminator is going to be a huge help. And as you can see, I used level 20 there, get it all back, take out around 99, can use the Poppin' Awe again for 199, I mean, and the Moab Eliminator just takes out 100. So great synergy. Poppin' Awe, Striker Jones, Moab Eliminator will be doing very, very well. Going on to the next example, got nothing too crazy. I'm going on from the advanced map to the intermediate map first this time. That's kind of odd. Maybe in editing I swapped it up a little bit and actually put this in the wrong place. But moving on anyways, I'm just going to be getting this tack right there in the middle, something to start off with. Normally you can't start off with tacks, but because this map is pretty easy and has a great loop in the middle, it's not going to really, it's going to both excel with the mortars. I'm stumbling on my words here, but it's also going to allow you to do some pretty funky early games such as this tack. So why not do this? I have the opportunity to do it, so might as well take it up. Anyways, we're going to do that. I'm going to get my mortar. I'm going to do something weird, get the signal flare first so I can take out 24 without having to buy anything. Typically on harder maps you won't be able to do this, but for an easier map you might be able to get away with it. I'll have enough damage just with burny stuff and faster firing, so I'll do that. So normally on some harder maps you might want to get like a 023 dart or 032 dart. That's going to take out camos, the first camos, really well, and then you can get something to deal with that. Anyways, after that I'm going to get my 250 mortar. Well, what will be the 250 mortar? Right now we're just pushing for artillery battery, and for round 40 you're going to see me get artillery battery before round 40 in the other example, but in this example I came short a little bit, so I got something to deal with round 40. This is going to be something that you're probably going to be seeing a lot. You won't be able to get artillery battery up before round 40, which is fine. You just need to get something to deal with round 40. In this case, I was planning to get this tack zone anyways, so this is kind of showcasing it just paired with another damage tier 5. It will do well, and if you get the right damage tier 5, it can mitigate the weaknesses very well. So just like ramping up some consistency, so instead of using the ability to kind of take out everything, it's just going to help out this tack zone here. It's going to also help out the tack zone, kind of cut some pierce off by taking out all the ceramics, and then with the super brittle, the tack zone is going to be able to destroy the ZOMGs and round 100, which basically fills out all of its weaknesses. So we're gonna have really good synergy. Biker Bones will be in here too, making the mortar a bunch better and all, so that's pretty neat. So if you can find just another tier 5, which I guess is this whole thing, that will fill in all the weaknesses of Poppinaw, and will also benefit from the Poppinaw with that stun. So like maybe it will fall a little bit short with its Pierce on round 98, then the Poppinaw will be able to use that ability to kind of break up the round a lot, hold it out so your damage tier 5 can take it out and also kill the ceramics, which is nice. So again, this attack zone super brittle combo will work out very well. Also, this map is pretty easy, so it's not like it's going to be an issue in the first place. Now I guess I'll mention this right here because there's not much going on, but obviously the mortars can be microed a lot. A lot of micro can be done with mortars, but as the series is pretty much intended for intermediate to advanced level gameplay, this is something that I'm really not going to bring up. You've seen this a lot. Like, I don't really bring up typically advanced stuff, so I'm not going to get into like crazy stalling and all of that stuff, just because I'm keeping it like real for the people who are probably looking into seeing new strategies and how to use these towers. You probably aren't interested in doing a bunch of mortar micro, so it's something that you could do, but for any of the mortars, but here it's not really going to be shown. Instead, I'm just going to be showing where a good map where you can just put it in the middle and it's going to be doing a lot of work, and you can just leave it there. Everything will be fine. Anyways, we'll end it off just by getting our support overclock this thing. I guess in this case you could also get another overclock, but we have way more power than we'll ever need, so I can just do all of that. I'll end it off with a bit of cash spare. Everything's getting taken out super easy, no issues. So basically, I guess I talked about everything that I was going to mention here, and there's still like a minute left of this recording, so while it plays out, I guess I'll insert a random question. You can tell me in the comments. So let's see, what will this be? I have to think of one on the spot. This is a good question. What is the most overrated ice cream flavor? So a flavor that a lot of people like, but you think is just absolutely stinky, should never be eaten. And I actually have a pretty good answer for this. I say it's cookie dough. Cookie dough ice cream just absolutely sucks. I don't get why people like it. It's just objectively bad, and a lot of people really like it apparently. So yeah, that's my take on that question. Anyways, let me know down in the comments. It's been good, and Poppinaw also hates cookie dough.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!